a joy it is to be back here again. It's been a minute. I'm always grateful to be here. Such a beautiful energy in here, and just beautiful peace and joy. And I appreciate the music too. Love the music for making my job easier by getting me in my heart. Tim, thank you. Thank you so much for that heartfelt, this beautiful, beautiful music. Well, also, I want to give a shout out. Are we on Zoom or Facebook, or what are we on, Chuck? YouTube. Okay. I want to give a shout out to Kit, because I was talking to Connie. I haven't seen you in a long time, Kit, and I just appreciate how much you are a teacher for me. And just when things seem challenging, you just still embrace it. You embrace it with such joy, and it's just so beautiful to be a witness to. So thank you for that. The title of my talk today is Taking Heart-Centered Action. And I want to read something that Ram Dass has said. Any familiar with Ram Dass? He wrote the book, Be Here Now, I think is the title of it. And there was a beginning book for a lot of people who found themselves on the path, and it's probably, I don't know when he wrote it. He passed away maybe 5 years or so ago. But he wrote it probably 40 years ago, but it's got much wisdom in it. But here's one of the things he says. Buddha says, as long as you think there is a doer, you are still caught in the wheel of birth and death. Does that mean that you should sit in bed and not do anything? Well, that's doing something. In fact, as long as you are in the body, you must do things. So that couldn't be what Buddha meant. No, he meant something much farther out. Ram Dass, when he talks about far out, or, very hippie-ish. But he's also very down to earth. I love how he communicates, but he was a Harvard professor. In any case, he meant that you do what you do, but you do not identify with the doing of it. All doing is happening as part of the dance of nature, and though your body and mind speed about their business, you remain in the calm center here where we all are. And I don't know how that lands with everybody. It's a tough thing to take in. And so I'm going to share, because this is such good timing for me personally in going through something within the last couple weeks about not being the doer. Because I've said before many times, and most of you I've seen in here, there might be some new faces, but I've said many times, we're not the thinker, we're not the feeler, and we're not the doer. But the first thing as far as as far as awakening goes, is that we come to the recognition that we're not our thoughts. We're not the one doing the thinking. Because if we were, then we have to ask the question, then what is it that's aware of the thinking? And we recognize that the thoughts come and go. And if you believe the thought, then of course what follows that is there's a feeling with the thought. There'll be a feeling that says, oh, why did I do that? If that's the thought that comes and you believe that that's true, then you will have a certain feeling about that, and that can pull you in even deeper into the drama of life. And then there's the third piece, and that is that we're not the doers either. Now, my progression has been to come to the recognition that I'm not the thinker of my thoughts, that I'm not the feeler of my feelings, and I'm not the doer of my deeds was the last thing to come. And that just happened within the last couple weeks, because I thought, what do you mean I'm not the doer? What do you mean I'm not the doer? What do you mean then who's doing all these things that are happening in my life? I'm diving in pretty deep. I hope I can explain this in a way, because one of the challenges of explaining it is that people try to grasp these things with their mind. I'm asking you to not do that. I'm asking you to just sit with this and just be with it and trust that it'll lead you to something. Maybe it's just planting a seed, a possibility. But just to be present with it. Don't try to understand it with the mind, because there's the verse in the Bible that says, the peace that passeth all understanding. We have to go beyond the mind to fully grasp what is being said. And that's what I'm inviting you to do. So I thought, how can I not be the doer? And then I wasn't sleeping well. My wife and she likes the room warmer at night, and I like the room colder at night. Anybody have that experience where the partner is on the opposite end there? So we've been having this struggle, and I like it colder, and she's like, I feel so cold, so I'm like, I can't keep doing this. I just don't feel right in my heart. I said, you have it as warm as you want it. And so I didn't sleep much that night, and I found myself like, okay, I can either fight against this or I can just surrender into it. I decided I was going to surrender into it, and I just end up meditating. And I would notice the thoughts that would come up. Oh, my God, I can't believe this is happening. And in any case, I was just noticing all those as, the more you can be aware of those thoughts, not try to make them bad or wrong, but just allow them to present themselves and then come back to the moment, come back to the breath, come back to a mantra, whatever it is that brings you back to the present moment, you come back to that. Meanwhile, those beliefs that keep presenting themselves start to fall away. They start to diminish because you're no longer feeding into them as if they're the truth, right? So I was practicing this, and I began to get more and more centered, and I just began to just sink into this perfect moment that seemed so daunting at times. And so as I'm meditating, I heard, can you just notice the breath? And I went to notice my breath, and I noticed something different than before. I noticed that the breath was not me, that I wasn't the breather of the breath. I was a witness to this body that was breathing, and it's like, whoa. And it really shifted my perspective a lot because I saw, wow, it was like Brett is standing right here, and then my essence of who I am, my God essence, my Christ consciousness, whatever one wants to call it, was witnessing Brett. Oh, I see Brett's going through some frustration with the heat. I see Brett's anxious. I see Brett's trying to make this choice. Witnessing this person called Brett that I am not. And I got really clear on it. That's not who I am. That is a constructed image over many years of collecting all these ideas of who I thought Brett was. And I love the songs, How Empty Can You Be? Because really, the more you empty out, you naturally fall into this truth of who you are. That's all it is about naturally emptying out. How does this all fall in with taking heart-centered action? It falls into play because I do my best. When I'm up here speaking, I do my best. I don't have anything prepared because it's my intention to just get out of the way and allow God to shine through with God's words, and I do the best that I can. So I have something presenting itself that I'm like, ooh, I'm noticing this whole thing. So how do we take heart-centered action? And that is one of the ways is recognizing that we are not the ones expressing through our person. This personal idea of who we are, it's actually consciousness. It's God's consciousness coming through us and expressing as this person. And most people never step out of that place. Most people go their whole lives feeling that, well, I accomplished this and I did this, I had a pretty good life and I made some mistakes, but all thinking that they're the person that was doing these things. And so what I'm offering to you is, with God and the Holy Spirit and different energies flowing through the divine, it's actually expressing and even offering you the thoughts in your head. Then the person has a feeling about that, and the person says, this is what I'm going to do based on everything that I'm hearing or experiencing. How you guys doing out there? See, I have a little fear about, this is really deep stuff, but I have to trust that for whatever reason, this is what needs to be. So I hope I'm not losing you. And if I do, you're welcome to ask questions afterwards or whatever, and we can talk more about it. But I'm just going to trust it's flowing where it needs to be, even though my mind's like, are you sure this is what's supposed to happen here? So in any case, it's something that we have to continue to open up to the possibility, because the one thing we do know is we want to be happy, right? Everyone wants to be happy. That's the one thing that we all have in common, even in the Constitution, way back when our forefathers said, in the pursuit of happiness. Everyone wants to be happy, and I think everybody is here because it's like, what can I do to become happier? But what happens in most of the world is people are looking at some kind of experience outside of themselves to find happiness. Money, love, fame, fortune, success, whatever that is, we're all looking for those things. I feel in unity, my experience has been that people are starting to realize, look, it's not out there. I'm never going to find what I need outside of myself. I'm going to have to look a little deeper, and that is going within. And so by going within, we get a chance to see, is there something beyond what I've thought I needed to become happy? And it leads us further and further within. I'm very empty right now. My mind doesn't like that, but I truly believe that everything does happen for a reason. Everything. And my teacher used to say, there's not one single hair out of place in the universe. And I thought, how can that be? How can it be? Because you say there's not one single thing out of place in the universe, but I just made this choice. Who made the choice? Who made that choice? Was it you, or was it your past programming or your future worries? Who made the choice? We're identified with this person, but we say, well, yeah, it's free will. I make my own choices. Do you? I'm just asking. It's just exploration. And some people might not agree, and it might even push buttons. I don't know. What I'm clear on is confusion can be a beautiful thing, because a lot of times we're so caught in what we think the truth is, and because of that thinking that this is what the truth is, it doesn't make room for the actual truth. And so when we talk about emptying out, we talk about making room for something beyond what we've believed to be true. Because if we knew the truth right now, we probably wouldn't be sitting here. We would probably just be whatever. We would be resting in the stillness and the silence where there's joy and peace and love. And sure, we get some of that. God gives us different moments so that we can keep moving forward and feel good about life in some ways, and it keeps getting easier and better. But what do we really know about being happy? For me, as I've continued to, I'm not going to say that I've continued to strip away who I'm not. I'm going to say that God has continued to provide for me lessons to help me strip away of who I thought I was. And so where I'm going with this whole thing, there is actually a movement towards heart-centered action on all this. And where I'm going is that heart-centered action means that we don't get caught up in our fears. And it's a beautiful theme to have sacred action when we have the election coming up, because I think Unity does a pretty good job overall, but let's face it, we all get pulled in a little bit. It's hard to ignore, and it's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. One of my teachers used to say, there's nothing wrong with an opinion unless you have an attachment to it, right? When you have an attachment to how the outcome is, then that's where it creates all the angst and the suffering. So from heart-centered action means that we come to a place within ourselves to say, look, I know I have opinions on this. I know I have attachments on this, but where is this action coming from? Is it coming from a place of fear, or is it coming from a place of peace or joy within myself? Two completely different things. And if we're being honest, the world is really taking so much action out of fear. That's why we see the wars. That's why we see all the craziness in the world. And so many people are responding out of fear. And as A Course in Miracles says, there's only either fear or love. There's only fear or love. So if you're not taking action out of love and centered in the truth of who you are, you're taking it from a place of fear. And honestly, if you're going to take action and there's fear, don't take action. That would be my recommendation for you, because you're going to end up creating more problems than you've solved. And I know sometimes there's there's climate change, there's social injustice, of course, we have a world today where there's plenty of things that we could look at that we feel need action. Wonderful. Take the action, but recognize you are a witness to the action. You are rooted in the truth of who you are. Let God shine through you. Let God shine through you, but recognize you are not the one taking the action. You are the one allowing God to express divinity through you. And that's because you're rooted in peace. You're rooted in joy. You're rooted in love. Sometimes when we look at some of the things going on, it feels really hard to find peace in today's world. But I will say honestly, peace is always, always, always available. It's always available. The only thing, and I think it was Eckhart Tolle that said, it's never the situation that's the problem, it's our reaction to it. Are we reacting from our heads and out of fear, or are we acting from a place of awareness? Two completely different things. Awareness is that place where we can observe the world and not feel it needs to be any different. And I know that sounds a little crazy to some people. I was listening to one of my teachers online, and he said, don't fix or change anything. If you have attachment to something, then, trying to think of more precise what his words were, he said, if you are a stand for something, then you are only going to create misery in your life. Let me talk about that, because I know some people probably feel, well, I'm a stand for climate change. I'm a stand for social injustice. I'm a stand for, again, the list can go on very long. What he was meaning by that is, if you're so rooted in this is the way it has to be, you're going to suffer. And I had to take a look at that because I've taken a lot of action on climate change. That's, for me, has been one of the priorities in my life from an external point of view. My main priority is just to wake up to who I am. That's my one goal. So when I heard him say the words, if you're a stand for anything, then you're going to create problems in your life. And I took a look, and I was like, well, but the world is at the fringe, whether we're going to even make it as humanity or not. How can you say, you can't take a stand on that? But really what's being meant is recognize that there's a problem and be aware of it, and then do your best to let go of the outcome for that. To let go of the outcome, your attachments to that. Because if you don't, then you're going to be sucked into a place, and it's going to take you to a place of fear, right? Because I can't say that looking at climate change that I'm without fear. I couldn't say that, but now more and more I'm like, you know what, God? I really trust that you're giving everybody exactly what they need, and I'm not going to fight any of it anymore. And I still donate. I still recycle. I still take action where I can. But it's not from a place of needing it to be different. It's a place of feeling that that's how God wants to express through me. Let me say that again, because to me that's the core of this message. It doesn't mean that we can't take action, but when we let go of our need to fix or change anything, including ourselves, then we begin to take action from a different place. And that place is rooted in love, and it's allowing the divine expression of God to come through us. And that is a completely different action, and it is an action that makes huge changes in the world. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Sadhguru. He's a teacher in India. He has hundreds of millions of followers. He's counsel to the Prime Minister of India. He's spoken at the United Nations many times. He is out there campaigning. He rides his motorcycle across the country, and he talks to different organizations and farmers about we have to save the soil. So he's doing as much as he can to help humanity through, but he's completely at peace with whatever happens. He doesn't need it to be any different, but he feels compelled, inspired action, to take inspired action. So I would ask each of you, as far as how you're contributing in the world, do you have something that's inspired action? rather than fear-based action. I feel like I want to leave this last a little bit because we're coming into a time where the election is coming up. I know there's a lot of strong feelings on it, and I'm not judging those at all. I have strong feelings come up with it sometimes as well, but it's up to us to take ownership of those strong feelings and do our best to just be a witness to them and not let them get our goat, basically. And the more we can do that, then we can contribute to manifesting something that is the greatest and healthiest thing that we can do in the world. So in other words, the greatest action to me that we can take is to do our homework, to let go of our fears, let go of our attachments, let go of our expectations, and then from there, take action from that place. And when you take action from that place, and in fact, even if you don't take action and you have just let go of your fears, things are already shifting. We are experiencing what we're experiencing in the world, the presidency or whatever. We experience those things because that's what's needed to help us to awaken to who we are. So the more you can let go of your need to fix or change that and make it wrong in some way, then manifestation happens in a much more pure and natural way. I think that's about it, but I want to say I'm sorry if I went too deep. And I know that I'm saying this from a personal point of view because I know I'm trying to be a witness right now to Brett saying I'm sorry because, what I know is as witnessing this person called Brett, knowing that I have come up here to put my best foot forward and hopefully that the words and the expression that needed to come through will come through. And I have to just trust that that's so. And I'll probably do a little processing of that after the talk. But if anyone wants to talk afterwards, you're welcome. But I would leave you with this. Please be gentle with yourselves. Please be gentle with yourself because the truth is we're all just trying to learn who we are. We're trying to just live happy lives, right? We're trying to be peaceful. We're trying to be happy. And it feels challenging at times. So just be compassionate with your humanness because you are enough. That is the truth. You are enough. And the more we can just have compassion for our journey and know that it's all in God's hands. It truly is all in God's hands. We are just an expression of divinity. That's all. The more we can trust and have faith in that and have compassion for our journeys, it really, truly is a lot easier. Thank you so much.
Hey, it's Reverend Mike here. I just wanted to stop for a moment before you get on with your day and thank you so much for spending time with us this morning. It means the world to us, and I just wanted to let you know if there's anything that we can do to make your experience even better, please do not hesitate to reach out by going to our website. I also wanted to offer you the opportunity for us to get together and sit down so I could get to know you a little bit better and answer any questions that you have. I can either do that by either getting together in person, have a cup of coffee, or we can meet online via Zoom. If you're interested, please don't hesitate to reach out. You can reach me at michael@courage2thrive.com. And lastly, if you find these messages are helping you, we would be tremendously grateful if you'd consider donating to the center. The best and the easiest way to do that is simple. Just go to our website. Again, thank you so much. Hope you have a great day. Hope you're doing well. God bless, and we hope to see you soon. Bye-bye now.